not of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, history in the making over the last 2 days, dude. The worst ice storm in the history of Oklahoma City and surrounding areas, dude. It's bad. It is really, really, really bad.
Yeah, I saw before the show you were working on your mobile cam.
Yeah.
And you cannot wait till the end of the show because I have a feeling we're going to get to see some of the ice damage on the trees around your property. But yeah, I've been talking to some guys around there, that Edmond, Moore, Norman area. Man, it just sucks. Like trees that have been around for forever and roofs and things like that. So that's why I'm here. We really need to work on this, Mark. We really need to work. I mean, I feel like we're an established enough podcast. I need to have like a mobile studio background.
Well, we'll get that done. It's just
it might take a little coin out of your pocket. I know how much you hate that, how you hate spending frivolous money on anything like a hat or a backdrop or anything. But I mean, I got a dang window behind me. We've been doing this for 12 years at least. I mean, maybe a little studio. I got a lamp from the living room on this side. I got a desk lamp on this side here. I've got a blinds behind me. At least we could have like screen printed BTL with a sponsor or something back there.
Easy now. Settle down. You're the one getting excited now, not me. Listen, I have a plan. It's in the works.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited then.
All right, because part of our plan for 2021 is that we are going to potentially, and I'd say right now it's probably about an 80%, maybe 75% chance that we will be having additional shows in 2021 with no need for you to come down to the studio here in Norman.
Plus, I'm going to be on the road a lot more next year.
Yeah, but dude, I don't want you having to mess. You remember when we did this in the beginning and we had that mobile kind of studio with but dude, with
this is
legend
2013. You were dealing with fire wires and what were those laptops that all the cops used back then?
Tough books.
Yeah, we had fire wires and tough books and all that, dude. It's super easy now. I got no problem. It doesn't take time out of my day to join BTL or whatever we may have in the works for the upcoming year.
Yeah, they have these. No, dude, they have these really cool mobile sets now that just kind of roll up into a bag.
Yeah,
and then you unzip and you undo it and then you set it up. Super easy. So I'm way ahead of you, man. I'm trying to take care of you. Okay. That's part of doing business. Okay. It's
now I understand the vast majority of our listeners will not see the lovely set of blinds in the background since they're listening on what are we listening on now? Did you say Amazon?
Oh, we're on Amazon now. Yeah.
Amazon, Google
Play,
iTunes,
Spotify, and just about every major podcast platform. Yeah, we're on now. But anyway, still, the number one.
I didn't mean to derail the first segment.
No. The main one is obviously iTunes.
Yeah.
So that's where it's happening. All right, man. Great show today. We are going to go, as soon as I see him in the queue, we're going to go to Brandon Paliniuk live on the water. And, dude, they're dealing with rain. They're dealing with Hurricane Zeta. The after effects, once it comes.
Is it a tropical storm or is it a hurricane?
No, it's a hurricane. It's a hurricane.
You sure this isn't you just one up in the weather like you?
No, I watched it this morning, dude. Okay. Right now it's a hurricane.
You got the Weather Channel on now or CNBC? What do you have on, Weather Channel or CNBC?
CNBC.
Shocker.
Yeah. Anyway,
you got your stocks pulled up on that one computer?
I do not. No, I'm using it for research today.
What were you doing there? You were doing penny stocks or something?
No.
What was it? You were like, here, look at this, dude. You're like, I put in 100.
No, I was buying the dip. I was buying the dip in certain stocks.
During the show?
Not every show, no.
That's kind of big league. That's kind of cool.
I was buying and selling the dip, dude. It's small chunk of change,
you think
dude. Not day trading.
You think Paliniuk gets into the markets? What's your gut say on that? Let's ask him that, because he's a businessman. He's got the clothing. He's got the business. He's got he's kind of ahead of his one step ahead. Do you think he sits in the RV? And
no, I think he has somebody that takes care of that for him.
Oh, you think he's got a guy?
Well, I think he probably invests his money and he has a financial planner or somebody like that.
But he's not. You don't think he's a dude who's on there every day messing?
No, he's not trading himself. He is not.
You don't think there's even a small chance?
No. We'll ask him.
All
right. I think he's ready, man. We want to get to him before the rain comes in. Let's bring him in now.
The water.
Yeah, Brandon, you there, man?
Yeah. How's it going?
It's going good. Dude, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I know when I initially called you, I was like, no, man, we can't do this.
Okay,
you said, no, let's do it on the water.
Day. He does 2 podcasts every evening with everyone. Then he'll do one like midday on the final day of an Elite Series. Then he'll do one early in the morning the next day on the water, off the water. Braided, does like 7 podcasts a week.
He's busting your chops,
and
man.
No, he does. You were on what? You did Chris Brown's last night. You've been on all sorts of freaking stuff, and you just still continue to catch him.
Yeah, I've done one pretty much every night, nearly since, this week for sure. But only one has been on the water.
There you have it.
Ask him the business question, Mark.
No, we want to know. Matt brought up the point. You, one of the most successful guys out there from a monetary standpoint, want to know, do you self-manage your investments or do you have a financial planner?
So I've got a couple guys that help me out with it. And then I've got some friends that run really successful businesses that kind of help mentor me. Actually, the guy that got me started fishing runs a very successful business, and he helps me out as far as just like things to look for and how to spend your money wisely. And so that helps out a lot. And then I actually have 2 guys that I work with at Northwestern Mutual that tracked me down, like followed me to the boat ramp and started talking to me. And we ended up having like a bunch of the same mutual friends from around Idaho and everything. And then I started working with them, all the way back in like 2012 or something. I started investing a lot of money because I knew that like it wouldn't last forever, and I wanted to be able to set myself up so that at 50 I could decide whether or not I wanted to keep doing it. I wanted to be able to financially be set up at 50 that if I wanted to walk away, I could, and if I still loved it as much as I do now, then I would just keep doing it.
But like, do you have the thing pulled up on the computer where you've got like the stocks and stuff, and you get off from the day and you're like buying and selling like Jeffries does during the show?
No, I don't, because my play is long term. I'm not doing like day trading stuff. I'm not worried about it going up and down, up and down, up and down. And all that's going to do is stress you out.
So I'm impressed, man. That is very, very impressive. And those guys that tracked you down, that is the true definition of pounding the pavement right there.
Yes. Yeah. They were on their way to see another client, and they're like, looked at their watch, like, oh, we got time. And they followed me to the boat ramp and started talking right then. And they've been awesome to work with ever since. And, you have to be diversified in this business. You can't just keep your cash in the bank and say that's going to be enough.
Yeah,
it's just too hard.
Smart dude, smart guy. All right, Brandon, let's talk about the past first, and then we will get into the present. I know Matt has a lot of questions to ask you in a short period of time, but the first one I have is going into what has been classified as really a brutal stretch, the back-to-back-to-back. When you got to Santee, what were your thoughts going into it, and how did things progress to where you were able to have that phenomenal tournament at Santee Cooper?
Well, Santee for me was like the most unknown, I think. And I think it was for a lot of us, as far as just not really knowing what to expect, because that was the one that most of us hadn't spent very much time on. myself included. I went there and did some pre-practice, like early on, and but I was looking for a March-April tournament. I wasn't looking for a fall tournament, and those are two very different things. And so for me, I kind of had to scrap everything and just kind of put the boots on the pavement and figure out how I wanted to break down the body of water. I think that was the most important thing at first, is I knew how large of a place it was. And so I wanted to do as much research ahead of time as I could to be able to look at it and say, okay, these are the 4 or 5 areas I want to concentrate on, and not try to look at the entire body of water, because 170,000 acres is just too much to look at, especially when all of it looks good.
Yeah. It's called the Spoken Hub, Brandon. It's a thing now.
The Spoken Hub.
Yeah, you have your hub. That's your home base. And then once you establish your hub, you start to build the wheel. So the hub is where you're comfortable, where you think you can catch your fish, where you might start. And then the more secure your hub is, you start building the little spokes out. That might be a random drop shot fish. That might be a patch of grass in the next creek. It might be a ditch adjacent to it. But once you start with your hub, you start exploring these spokes. And the more spokes you get, the more complete the wheel. And once you got your wheel, you just go in and roll.
What if after practice you feel like your hub is made out of paper mache?
Yeah, well, that's the deal. Then here's what you do: you go to BMR squared, Bridgers Marina Riprap and Ramps, which is a foolproof pattern throughout the year that works on most man-made fisheries. Ensures you always have a place to fish. You always have pinch points, migration points for fish, and release fish as well as resident fish.
You're so good.
I'm just saying.
He got that from. Tell him who you got that from, Matt.
Hank Cherry, probably, right?
No. Both of those are my terms and theories, but I got the Spoken Hub theory by analyzing what Brian Thrift did, because I'm like, there's no way Brian Thrift just puts his boat in and finds these fish. Like, you have to have some sort of system that you're breaking it down with.
Yeah.
And I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, that's a pretty good assessment of what I had going on at Santee Cooper. I mean, most of it was in like one area, and you could say that area was the hub. And then I had like different little things going on within that hub.
Yeah. Brandon, from a strategy and from an execution standpoint, where did your latest win rank among all the blue trophies that you have?
From an execution standpoint?
Yeah. In other words, did anything crazy happen that you just were like, wow, I can't believe this is happening, and this is part of the reason why I won this event?
I think catching that 712 the final day out of a brush pile on a drop shot on a 10-pound gold label was one of those moments where I was like, yep, this feels eerily similar to Sam Rayburn. Because at Rayburn, the very first day, the biggest fish I caught of the entire tournament was an 8.4. And I caught it on 10-pound test on an eco rig, and it had me stuck in a tree for 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Wow.
And I just held it, and it finally just came free. And that was kind of that same moment that I had there. It was like, get stuck in the brush pile, and I'm just holding it, and I can feel it head shaking. And it finally breaks the branch off that it's stuck on, and I bring in the branch and an almost 8-pounder. And that, you know, in that moment, I felt like I had a really good shot, because I caught that fish in a place that I went to go throw an uppercut, but not where I had been catching the majority of my bigger fish.
All right, Matt, one more question, and then you can have the floor. I'm curious, is this just a recent thing, a trend, if you want to call it? But how long have you been, and I'm just going to classify it as finesse fishing, in heavy cover?
Man, I think I've been doing it my whole life, really.
Really?
If you go all the way back to like when I used to fish at home, a lot of guys, you know, it's a lot of shallow water, like flipping, pitching type stuff growing up there. And early on, me and my team partner started throwing the drop shot around for these largemouth in heavy cover, and we started winning a lot of money doing it. And It's pretty popular up there now, but it's something that I've kind of always done and just felt comfortable doing. And I think this year it seems to play out more because I think the fish have gotten tremendously smarter this year due to the amount of pressure that we've put on them.
All right, Matt.
It's funny. I actually had the notes about that Bass Fest win on Rayburn, and then that big fish that you had on Santee. And it seems like there are certain guys, and you look back on it, and without either of those big fish, I mean, that's a solid tournament for you, but it's not a win. Yeah. And then you start looking back over the history of the Elite Series, of the FLW Tour, and there are just certain guys who have a knack for getting that one bite that separates them. And it doesn't just happen once, it like happens continuously. What do you think it is between the guys who go out and just have a decent limit a lot of times when they're in the hunt, and then there's that group of guys, you're in that group, that seems to get that one bite over and over? Mark might qualify it as a lucky bite, but it happens over and over, and that's the difference between 2 Elite Series wins and 5 Elite Series wins, or 3 top 12s and 8 top 12s. So what is it, do you think? Is it a mental makeup? Are you lucky? Is it understanding the fishery? What is it that allows that group of guys you included to get that one bite that makes a good tournament a great tournament?
I think the biggest thing is not being afraid to not catch a fish. As crazy as that sounds, but generally your larger than average fish, your biggest fish, don't live like the rest of the population. And so you have to fish where like you may go a long time without getting a bite. But it's generally like more isolated cover type stuff, like places that maybe not the largest group of fish live, but there's just that one big one that's living by herself. And that's kind of the way I've always approached it. So I like 5 fish derbies because it's a different approach, right? Like to be able to separate yourself in largemouth tournaments, you have to have that big bite. Now in smallmouth events and like up north, then it becomes how big is your smallest fish, right? Mm-hmm. The smallest fish in your bag then becomes the most important because there's so many like 3 to 4 pounders. But in like southern largemouth events, that one big bite is oftentimes what makes the difference.
We can actually get to see you fish a little bit.
I'm going to try.
You have, what, 2 hours left before you have to be off the water?
Yeah.
And this is number...
And trust me, how many weeks in a row? Or?
Oh, bull crap. You said that last week at Neely Henry. I talked to Kevin Ledoux, and he's like, dude, PALAINUK, he's caught 3 fish in 3 days. And I said, watch, he'll go out and he'll freaking drill him. And you went out and drilled him, so I don't want to even hear how tough it is.
Oh, yeah, I drilled him 10.5 pounds and 9.5 pounds and slid inside the cut. I really killed him.
I had 10 at 11. I was damn proud of it. So
Brandon, since Matt brought it up, and I know you've competed, and you've known Matt for quite some time now, but his first top 12 in an open, and he finished 1 spot ahead of you. How would you evaluate his performance from the open?
Come on, Mark.
I would say it's quite impressive. His last day sucked about equally as mine.
Yeah.
I think that last day kind of threw us all for a loop because you look at the weather and you're like, oh, yeah, nice warm rain, calm. Yeah. You're like, we're going to crush them.
Yep.
And it got terrible.
Did you have a deal at like 9 a.m. where you looked at your co-angler and you're like, dude, it feels super high pressure-y. I don't feel like they're moving anymore. My baits move. Like you just have that weird sense that like it's done, that your bite window was only like an hour and a half that morning.
Yeah. And then I also got the sense when it was pretty much raining, one of the hardest I've ever seen it rain, where I was like, maybe winning the tiebreaker wasn't such a good thing.
Yeah, it was. I will say this though. I pulled up on that second day. I mean, Brandon Paliniuk, 5-time Elite Series winner. He's freaking been through the ringer a million times. He's 8 weeks in a row. He's got people calling and wanting him. And he asked if I have a bag. And I said, yeah, I got a decent bag. He takes his GoPro, jumps in my boat, and films me bagging my fish. Had no reason to do that. Did not have to do that. And I think that just kind of tells the type of guy that you are. And I mean, I really appreciated that, dude. That was really cool.
Yeah. I still got to get you that footage, but I got it.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. All right, man. Talk a little bit about the task at hand this week on Cherokee.
Oh, it is. It's a little tough, I would say. I've been looking at a lot of fish. I've pretty much spent majority of my time out deep because I feel like that's where it's going to get won. And all I care about in the opens is winning. And I'm willing to gamble on that. I don't know what this weather's going to do. Like it's just starting to sprinkle a little bit right now. And we're supposed to get, I think, an inch of rain today, an inch of rain tonight, and then like another 3/4 of an inch tomorrow, and 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. So generally that's not very good for your deep bite. But right now I'm pretty much welcoming any change. It seems like just the last, this is 6 weeks in a row, and just every single one of them has just been a brutal grind. I mean, you can see them.
You feel like you're a better fisherman now than you were 6 weeks ago? I mean, this has to be the longest 100%. Stretch of major tournaments that you've been through in your life.
100%. Like you get better as you're doing this. Oops, sorry, I shut my camera off. I was trying to flip it because I was gonna show you.
Show us what's up. But I mean, you're a better angler than you were in September.
Yeah. See this?
Oh, that's a drum, dude. That's a freaking drum.
That's a drum.
Yeah, you can tell slide angle down. That's a drum.
Sure. Well, I need you to teach me how to run my graphs then, Matt. Because those look a lot like the smallmouth I catch earlier.
Wow.
Please,
Matthew.
from Oklahoma, from Dirty Bird. Please show me your Dirty Bird electronic.
I forgot
rules.
You fished all those little lakes out there with Kevin.
Oh yeah, I know the Oklahoma drill.
Yeah.
I know all about it. So yeah, this one's it's gonna be interesting.
Will this be one with a limit each day, or will someone only have 13 or 14 and win this one?
Oh yeah, I don't think you have to have a limit. Somebody will, right? Like there's gonna be a guy that is able to put 5 together and each day and make it happen. But there'll be a lot of the guys I think in the top 10 that don't have a limit. It's just too hard to get bit, which is crazy. It's like it sounds like there's quite a few fish up shallow moving around and stuff, but they're not super easy to get to bite either. And I think there's big ones up there, but I think the majority of like the big smallmouth and stuff are out off the bank, and we still have 72-degree water.
Wow.
But we have falling water. It's supposed to drop like another foot this week, so it makes it like all the conditions you really don't want in the fall.
I freaking love these fall tournaments. That's so badass. I mean, think about how many different little pieces of the puzzle, and some guy's gonna figure it out.
Oh yeah, and that's probably what frustrates me the most is there's always a way to catch them. Like there's always someone that figures out an area or a bait or something. There's always a way to catch them, and it just drives me nuts when I can't figure it out because I know it's out there.
One more question. Would you say in general on an ultra tough tournament, because there's a lot of listeners who go through this stuff, the key to unlocking it, the key to success, is it usually super technical, or is it usually staring you in the face and way easier, and a lot of people overthink it when you have so many factors in the fall like we do now?
100% overthink it. Way more. I think that's how fishing is most of the time. Like very rarely do you see where it's a guy that's like, oh yeah, I had to change, this one little detail. Like I threw a gold blade on my spinnerbait instead of a silver blade. Like it's usually not that. I think these fall tournaments, it's more about like covering the water and getting dialed in that way, and not overthinking it, right? Not being afraid to just like move and gamble around, because that seems to be like what happens, right? Like at Chickamauga, I was trying to like figure out all of these tricky little ways to catch these schoolers that were feeding on tiny little bait. Meanwhile, Lee is just chucking a frog around in grass mats and smashing them. Mm-hmm. And like that's so obvious. You drive around and there's beautiful, healthy grass everywhere and all the bait's in the grass, but you keep saying, oh, I can't get him to eat a frog, can't get him to eat a frog, when all it took was just finding the right mats. So a lot of times I think it's area more so than like trying to figure out a little technique that's different.
All right. That's cool stuff. Brandon, man, we'll let you get back to work, and really appreciate you doing this, man. You didn't have to, but greatly appreciate it. I know you've been a BTL guy for a long time, so, man, appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. This is perfect timing because it's just starting to rain.
All right. There you have it, man.
Nice
Best
work.
of luck to you. We'll talk to you soon, Brandon.
All right. See you guys.
All right. See you. All right. Cool stuff there.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
You think he made the right decision for him personally this year, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
The guy comes back and wins 2.
Yeah.
He's in a freaking 8-week bender. He's cashing checks. He's making top 12s. He's cleared over $250,000 this year. His video series is on fire.
Do you think in the somewhat short foreseen future that he will probably have more blue trophies than anybody?
Yeah, he's only behind. He's only behind Kevin.
Yeah, that's what I said. In the short.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. All right, man. I want to.
Dude, we forget. Let me just make this point. We forget what Jacob Wheeler did this year between the BPT and the FLW Tour. And I mean, remember, he was the dude, right?
Yeah.
And I think with what you've seen with Brandon this year and what he's doing, I think you have to put it somewhat on the same exact level. I mean, those two guys are right around the same age. They came on around the same time, 2011, 2012. One come up through the All-American, through the BFL ranks. One came up through the Federation ranks. You talk about their marketability, their branding. He's got the Alpha Angler rods, and Wheeler has his own deals going on as well. I mean, those guys have very parallel career paths. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
And they both have tremendous upside for decades to come.
Long time, man. Those guys are going to be around for a long time. So
apparently only 50 till Brandon till his mutual funds mature.
Were you not impressed with that? I was.
Yo, yeah, super.
Yeah, that's big time. All right, here real quick, we're going to take a break, but before we take a break, we're going to come back with Frank the Tank Talley. I found something when I was cleaning out the attic. All right, now, many years ago, when Gary Giudice did the show, we actually did the show from this room that was inside my house, and the attic was kind of adjacent to where we would do the show from.
It's like a loft upstairs.
Yeah.
Like a man cave.
Yeah. Well, I had to get the attic cleaned out because we're getting a brand new heating and air system here in a week or two. Yeah, it's just
exciting.
Yeah, it's just part of being a homeowner, dude. Anyway, there was a ton of stuff that remained that I just threw in the attic just to get it out of the way when Gary and I used to do the show.
Like a walk-in attic. It's not like you don't have to climb. You can just go in there.
No.
And dump stuff. Have to make sure you don't step on the insulation and go into the kitchen.
I found a gem, and I'm going to get a case built for this. I know you've seen it, but I want to show it to the viewers. This is pretty cool because I don't know if this even exists. I don't know if there's anybody out there. There might be that has every single one of these in possession, of which was really history. Because let's go through these, and you tell me how many of these guys are still with this company.
Oh, is this what was on Best on Tour last week where they said, hey, was this the best pro staff ever assembled?
It might have been.
It 100% was in Best on Tour, which, by the way, Best on Tour is, you guys need to subscribe to that.
Yeah.
If you're fans of bass fishing, it actually has kind of highlights of what's going on in the industry and some really cool breakdowns of tournaments and stuff. But one of the features was, hey, was this one of the best pro staffs ever assembled in the history of fishing? If this is where we're going with it.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
I thought it was weird when you showed it to me the other day. I was like, oh, did that jog your memory? And you said, oh, I've got those somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I found them in the attic. And here's what I have, folks. All right. They are signed quantum hats of what was probably, at the time, the best pro staff that was ever put together. I have one missing. But fortunately, I have one of the hats, and I know where the guy lives. I can get the signature for the final piece of the puzzle.
If you catch him on a good day, he might agree to it.
Every day's a good day for Tommy Biffle. All right, but what it is... Yeah,
that's what it was. It came out on Sunday.
That's weird, man. I did not realize that.
It's a look back. It's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Take a look back at the Quantum Pro stuff, and you'll quickly realize it was arguably one of the most formidable the industry has ever seen.
Yeah. So here's what I have, all right? I have the Quantum team, these team hats that... if you remember, a guy by the name of John Kushnerick is the one that came up with this idea to have the Signature Series hats with the Quantum logo as part of the Quantum team. Well, I have these hats with signatures on them. So there's Kevin. Let's see here.
And they're the Signature Series hat. It says KVD on the side of the hat.
There's Shaw Grigsby. There's Gary Klein. There's Dean Rojas. Of course, Dean doesn't sign on the bill. He signs up here.
Yeah, he's the only one who signs.
Yeah. The Hack Attack, Greg Hackney. And finally, Gerald Swindle. And the only one I have...
Tommy.
Missing Biffle. But I have a Biffle hat. I have one of the Signature Series. I don't know why I don't have the signed one.
You know what? You really want to go all out? You need to get each of their rods too. Do you have those in the loft?
I have 4 of them in the loft.
You've got Biffles.
I got Biffle. I've got the original.
ABB.
I've got the original prototype. Of the cranking rod.
Rojas's, I know that.
I got Rojas.
You've got to have Grigsby. Grigsby's is that blue one.
I've got that one, and I've got the gold rod that Swindle had.
Swindle, the cranking rod that makes a 10-incher look like about a 7-pounder for the first 30 seconds. You hook something, and the rod just keeps going.
Yeah.
There you go. That'd be a throwback to the days, Mark.
Yeah. So very, very cool collection there.
It is bestontour.net. www.bestontour.net. Totally free to sign up for, and then it comes in your email. It has 7 or 8 different topics. Like they have they have a jersey watch, what we're watching and listening to, baits not being talked about, which in this last one was the head and spitting image. You ever throw the spitting image, Mark?
Yes.
I had a popping image stuck in my ear on Louisville. Anglers Tribune, behind the scenes, money matters, and to start the day. So definitely, if you're into fishing at all, definitely worth going to that. They don't send you a bunch of spam or crap or anything like that. It's just a cool email once a week.
Yeah. And it's good English too. It's very good English.
Well written.
All right, everybody, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we will come back with Frank. And Frank has a great story, man. His whole way that he attacked becoming a professional is quite interesting, and have a lot of respect for him for what he did. So we'll get into that here in a few minutes. Everybody stay tuned on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim-On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body, but with ribs to give it a bigger profile, but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
AFCO's new Yuri performance shirts are made out of a new fabric. Aeromesh technology, Aeromesh fabric, really breathable. You know, it just doesn't stick to you whenever you're sweating. It's 105 in Florida. You know, you got sun beating down, there's hardly any wind. You know, your shirt won't stick to your back or anything like that. Any little breeze gets through it, and all the AFCO features that you like with the hood, not without a hood, depending on which one you like. It's got odor technology, so your pits don't stink whenever you're sweating. It has thumb loops. So whenever you're driving down the lake, 70 miles an hour on a bass boat, you got the thumbs through here, sleeves won't roll up, so you have no excuse if you get sunburned. Any little breath of air gets through you and cools you down, so make sure you check them out. Any fish, any water, any conditions, AFCO has you covered.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Very, very icy here in the Oklahoma City area. And yeah, I'm excited about the little mobile thing we're going to do there, Matthew.
Oh, we're going to see the ice right after Frank the Tank.
Excited, man. It's
as hot as he is. We should take the phone out while he's on the phone. It'll just melt the ice.
That's a great point.
That was cheesy,
yeah, that
wasn't
was. It? Anyway, real quick, I do want to remind everybody, this is the final week of all the great deals that TH Marine is having on their website. The 45th anniversary, 45 years, a lot of years to be in business, and they do a great job. So this week, in the final week, week number 4, they're going to have 25% off select Blue Water LEDs. Use the code Blue Water Deals and get you some LED lights for your boat. And I know, Matthew, that's something that you're going to take a look at doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Got the new cat coming in a couple of weeks. They started that company when you were 11. What were you doing when you were 11, Mark?
Actually, I was, let's see here, 40. No, I was, can't do math here, 45.
You're 56, right?
I'm 57. I'll be 58 next week.
So you're 12. What were you doing as a 12-year-old?
Playing a lot of Little League Baseball. And doing a lot of bowling. Yeah.
You're into the bowling by then.
I was doing a lot of bowling, man. A lot of bowling. a lot of baseball. It was either bowling or baseball. On
How
the
old were
weekends.
you at the first 300 game? What was your age? How old were you when you first bowled a perfect game?
11.
You bowled a perfect game when you were 11?
Yeah.
Get out of town.
No.
Was that like
No,
the
I was
youngest
11.
ever?
No.
How
Not
old
at
were
all.
you when you bowled perfect game left and right-handed?
Let's see. That was in the. Was that in the 80s? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm asking.
No. That was 1979. That was when I was a junior in high school.
So you bowled perfect game left-handed and a perfect game right-handed as a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Did you make Sports Center top 10?
No. Do you remember Sports Illustrated? They used to have that one section for kind of oddball things.
Yeah. Like so-and-so who like won the hurdles by a second and a half.
Yeah. My baseball coach, because he was a bowler too, my baseball coach actually submitted that to Sports Illustrated, but it never showed up.
Oh, that's a horrible story.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be really good to where we could find like a 1979 episode.
No, dude. I had nothing.
Mark Jeffries with the bowl
I'm
cut.
telling you, the college years were great, but I have so many memories from high school. You, on the other hand.
So you were a phenom.
No.
I mean, don't be shy. Like in the bowling world, you were.
It was a big deal back then. Yeah, it was a big deal.
Like you would show up to the alley in high school and stuff, and people would be like, "Oh, Jeffries is rolling tonight." Yes or no?
I
mean,
yeah,
dude, if you show up to the ramp and there's a guy
no.
who's caught a 14-pounder or 15-pounder, is weighed in 35 pounds, you know who that guy is.
Dude, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but everyone knew who you were when you walked in and got the nachos, right?
Yeah. It was cool. There were a lot of memories, you know. And what was weird is I didn't even know what bass fishing was.
Yeah.
Didn't know what bass fishing was until I moved to Oklahoma.
Didn't you say that? No, I thought you said you went fishing with your buddies or someone who your dad took you trout fishing.
No, we went trout fishing, but bass fishing, I didn't even know what it was until.
I thought it was. What did you do with your buddy whose dad played for the Kings or something? I thought you went bass fishing.
No, we went ocean fishing.
Oh, ocean fishing. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we go catch bonita and rock cod and sea bass and stuff like that.
So who got you into the bass fishing?
The guy that I played baseball with at OU. He took me to a farm pond and I was hooked. I mean, his uncle had this 50-acre pond and dude, we caught like 100 fish that day and I was like buying stuff. I was hooked on bass fishing after
ever
going to that
actually
pond.
Start a game for OU or was it injury?
No, it was I tore my ACL.
Yeah.
So, and back then it wasn't a 4-week deal. Hey, yeah, look, he's back.
It was like 4 months.
No, I was done. I was done, and it happened on a freak play. Anyway, speaking of freaks, in a good way. All right, this guy, I am really, really impressed with how this guy's career has progressed. I think he's in the top 15. What is he, 12th in the Angler Year race?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you look it up? I think that's
right.
I
don't think he's got a shot to win it, but I mean, a top 10 in the Angler of the Year would be a pretty dang good accomplishment.
He's got the blue trophy, and just very, very impressive how he has taken the approach to becoming a professional angler. So let's bring him in now.
I don't know. He might have a chance. Listen to this. He's gone 65th, 35th, 38th, 25th, 38th, 1st, 14th, and 26th.
Yeah. Frank, how you doing, man?
Good. I would like to thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. First of all, I got to give your son props. What a just fantastic son that you have, because I had to make sure that everything was set up properly and everything. Man, is it Frank the second or Frank Jr.?
He is actually Frank the fourth. I'm the third, and then my dad, and then my grandfather.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
sir.
Okay. Well, you have an outstanding son there, man. Super polite, knew what he was doing, and what a great kid.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. It's all that COVID stuff. They're having to work on computers, so you know.
All right. Well, your first appearance on BTL, and dude, it was really cool to see you raise that blue trophy on the final day of the Elite Series.
Yeah, that was, a long time dream come true. You dream about it when you're a kid, and, way back when it wasn't, a blue trophy, but it was the a trophy. And it was, you think about it, you dream about it as a kid, aspiring to be a pro one day. And when it actually happens, it's still a little surreal to me, no doubt. I mean, I don't think it's really sunk in this, how big of an accomplishment it is. I'm just still focused, like Matt said, on this last tournament here and trying to better my points and hopefully, move up a little bit in the angle of the year standings. One hiccup at St. John's, and it's hard to recover. These guys are so good out there. It's just crazy to try to recover from 165th place finish. All year I've been just clawing and finally starting to make some ground up.
Yeah, very cool. I know Matt wants to get into a lot of the fishing stuff, but my first question, I really want you to kind of talk a little bit about, it's been documented, but I am just really intrigued the approach that you took to making the decision to turn pro and really all of the back end work that went into place from a family standpoint, from a money standpoint. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Frank?
Okay. Me and my wife, we had twins at 18 years old. She got pregnant when she was 17. So, I had to kind of put college aspirations and being a pro fisherman, aside when you're at 17 and 18 years old, having to raise twins, a boy and a girl. And so it's, I wanted to be there like my dad was there for me, so it was important that, I made that choice, had kids and at an early age. And so it's my responsibility to make sure that they were raised, and I wanted them to be raised with me around. I wanted to do the sports with them and coach them and, make sure they did well in school and got off to college and that type of stuff. That was real important to me. And so, when you have kids, I think that's what you do. You put them above everybody else and your dreams and aspirations. And, you make sure that you raise them to be, good products of society. So that's kind of what I did. And, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wanted to be, I wanted to fish professionally for a long, long time. I mean, like it's been documented, me and Aaron Martins, we fished against each other on the West Coast back when we were kids. He's 2 years older than I am, but we grew up fishing team tournaments against each other and stuff, me and my dad versus him and his mom. And so, that aspiration of being a professional has always been there, but I had to just put it on the back burner because I want to make sure that my family was well taken care of. They knew who I was when I came home. And so I just worked that, those 9-to-5 jobs, so to speak, just to make ends meet. And then, did some real good saving and stuff and was, got secure financially to be able to do this. And then one day they just came to me and said, "Hey, Frank," or not Frank, but Dad, "Hey, Dad." They said, "Hey, Dad, we got something we want to talk to you about." And I was like, okay. So I figured, one of them got a ticket or something like that. You know how it always goes with kids. And so the next thing I know, they sat me down as my daughter, my oldest daughter, little Frank, the one that you met, and then my wife. And they sat me down at the table and kind of had like an intervention with me and said, "Hey, we want you to pursue your dream. You've raised us, and it's time for you to go pursue what you've wanted to do for the last 25 years." And I just didn't know what to say. I kind of got teary eyed with them and stuff like that. And I'm like, do you understand what this means? I won't be home as much as I have been all your lives and stuff like that. But, if you're okay with it, then I'd love to try it. And so in 2018, I fished the Central Opens, and everybody kept telling me, man, that's the toughest open division to qualify out of. And I'm like, well, that's the one that's closest to me in Texas, and that's the one I'm going to fish. And that year, just everything fell into place, and I caught them really well, and just won the points championship in the Central Division that year, and then got invited to the elites. And last year was just I call it my sophomore slump season. It was my first year on the elites, but my second year fishing, quote unquote, professionally. And, I slipped up, no doubt. And I just, the only highlight of my whole season was the last tournament at 10 Killer, where I finished 13th. And so I kind of used that as leverage for the new year and said, I'm going to just fish the way I know how to fish and quit trying to catch fish, the way I think they need to be caught and catch them the way that I feel comfortable and go down swinging because, up until middle of this year when they gave us an exemption to fish for next year, I thought this was my last year to get an average up so I can continue on for my third year in the elite. So, I was fully committed I know I needed a top 20 angler of the year finish to be able to do that. And, so when they announced that we're going to be able to come back next year, it didn't stop me. I just kept my mind, my head down and just stayed focused and I need to catch them regardless of what happens because eventually there's going to be another average come around in year 3 or 4, and I'm going to have to do it again. So just keep my head down and keep fishing.
When did you move from California?
I moved in 92. I graduated high school in 92. I'll be 46 next month. And so I graduated in Diamond Bar, California in 92 and then came out here to go to college in later part of 92 and then started in 93. And then that's what happened is my wife got pregnant and the rest is history. So college kind of got put on the back burner and I took a job and what it was a mobile home manufacturing facility and built mobile homes and then, slowly crept up to a supervisor, then a plant manager and just had a good drive. And back then you had good bonuses and stuff for working in factories when you met production. So I just saved that money and paid off my house and just did that type of stuff to get financially well off. And then me and my wife opened a hydraulic business in 2013. So it's been about 7 years ago. And, it's been a godsend, we've been blessed. We have great customers, great business going, and that affords me to leave and be able to do this, because as you guys well know, it's hard to get sponsorship your first year or two, even though, my opens year was a great year. It still doesn't, they want to see you perform on the elite level and succeed there before they're going to actually dole out any kind of cash.
All right,
does it feel like you're 3 years into this thing, or does it feel like you just had that conversation with your kids where they were like, "Dude, you need to go fish the opens"?
Oh, exactly, Matt. Yeah, it's like I blinked my eyes and it's went by that quick. It really has. It's doesn't feel like it's been 3 years, no doubt.
Wow. Hey, is Diamond Bar next to Roland Heights?
It's within probably about 25, 30 miles.
Okay.
Diamond Bar's Orange County. So it's like, right there by Anaheim, by Angel Stadium.
Okay. All right. I was
that
thinking
close
of the
to
wrong
you,
thing.
Mark?
It's a little ways. I was
Mark grew up in California.
Yeah,
too.
I was in Long Beach.
He had to be closer to LA though, because he was a child actor.
Yeah, Mark's a child actor.
He was. He was on the cover of the.
Whatever.
What board game were you on the cover of? Mark?
Whatever. Let's
what
keep
board
going
game
here.
Were you on the cover of? Was it Life?
No, it wasn't a board game.
What?
No, it was the inside pamphlet of Mattel.
Hot Wheels.
The Hot Wheels set. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the cover of Hot Wheels as a child actor in the LA scene. Pretty big.
Yeah, you had to bring that back up, man. You're just, you're batting 1,000 today, Matthew.
Hey, I'm not there for you to freaking go after me, so I'm getting all the shots I can before I'm back in studio.
Jeez. Frank, one more question, and then Matt can take off on the fishing. Seriously, I want to know. When you had that blue trophy in your possession, nobody else was around. You were in your truck. You were by yourself. Whatever period that you had where you weren't around your family and it was just you thinking about what just happened. Explain to me and the fans what was really going through your mind.
Actually, the first time I looked at it by myself, it was sitting in my truck on the center console, and I'm sitting there with the truck idling, and I'm looking over at it, and I said to myself, I cannot believe. See, because I'm not a superstitious guy, but I would never touch the blue trophy like at registration and stuff. I'd never touch the classic trophy when I fished the classic in 19. So when I actually got to hold it and touch it and fondle it, so to speak. I was like, man, this thing, I put a little armor all coat on it and everything like that. I got this thing spit shined up, and
that's awesome, man. That's like the Stanley Cup, Matt. Touch it.
No, you touched it.
I did, but I was never a player, so it didn't matter. Yeah. Anyway, that's a great story, Frank. All right, Matt, have at it.
All right. I want to go back to this. So you penned an article on Bassmaster talking about fishing your gut. And it kind of goes back, and we had Brandon on before this, and he kind of talked about how the fall really lends itself to fishing your gut. You know, one thing here, one thing here. Oh, that looks good. Let's do this. You don't get tuned into it. It's interesting. I think that you did really well. You had a 13th place on 10 Killer last fall, which was a rescheduled event due to a weather issue. And that was just a brutally tough tournament, that one that Carl won. But you had guys throwing whopper ploppers, jigs up the river, down lake, all sorts of stuff. And then you go into this back-to-back-to-back stretch where, I mean, a limit every day is just magic, and you get your way through it. Talk about the confidence that you've built following your gut. And for a guy who's listening to this, who's like, well, I go out and I follow my gut and I zero, and my guts tell me to run 30 miles one way and 30 miles the other way, and I don't care. Like, how do you get comfortable following your gut and doing stuff that you didn't do in practice? Because you've got to become really, really good at that this year.
To be honest with you, Matt, it's really time on the water for like long periods of time, like dating back to, 20 years. So what I mean by that is, in other words, you've seen the same kind of scenarios go down, weather patterns, stuff like that. Oh yeah, I remember when it was 71 degrees and misting outside and a light wind out of the west. So you remember that stuff back in your memory, and how you kind of caught them and what kind of cover or structure that they were on. So you use that as a big, because that to me is the biggest thing with bass fishing, is just time on the water and memory, like stuff that you've done in the past and the way the lake sets up. And so, but having confidence in what your gut feeling is just doing it time after time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but is not to ever give up on it. Like, I mean, I've fished my gut several times, so to speak, and came up, snake eyes, so to speak, and then I've also fished my gut more often than not, and it'll end up paying off. And it might not pay off in a big way. We're not talking about an 18 or a 20 pound limit, but it might pay off with just that one key fish to get you into the next day cut, or it might pay off with, catching one that you really didn't need to catch till tomorrow, but it keys you into something for the next day or two of fishing.
Are decisions okay? So this game is all about decisions. Everyone knows that. We talked about that. This past 3 tournament stretch for you, do you feel like decisions have been difficult to make, or when you're fishing well, you're fishing with your gut, you've got confidence, do you just go do things and there's never that internal struggle that you probably felt the majority of your first year on the Elite Series, and you get done and you're like, dude, I didn't have that internal struggle going on. Have you felt it that it's just flowed the more you've gotten into the year?
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's really a good description of what's happened, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't know this, but like after 10 Killer and then starting the new year this year in the St. John's with, we had a couple days that we, that were canceled to begin with. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but it kind of threw me a little bit. It threw a lot of guys, but it honestly took me till after the Northern Swing, after all these rattling off all these cut finishes, to actually get the confidence built up that I could, finish out the season strong and catch them anywhere I go. That's how long it took this time around. Some guys, it only takes one tournament of doing well, and then they're ready to go into the next one, and they got confidence that they're King Kong and they can catch them no matter if they're fishing in a bathtub with clear water and can't see them. That's just part of it. But to me, it really took me about 4 tournaments. You follow, it started building up. That was my first cut after St. John's, and then, St. Lawrence, Champlain, St. Clair, and then I really got that groove rolling. Now it's like at Lake Fork, I'm already looking at map and Google Earth and stuff, and I already got an area picked out. I'm like, I know I'm going to catch them in there. I mean, that's just, I mean, and anybody that knows me knows I'm a very humble guy, and I never talk about practice and this and that and how good I've done and this, but I just have that confidence right now, and it's probably going to shoot me in the foot now that, the world's listening. But honestly, I really do. I've got an area that I've already looked at on Google Earth, and I'm like, dude, I know they're in there and I'm going to catch them. I just don't know how I'm going to catch them, but I'm going to catch them, whether it's square billing or throwing a thunder cricket or a top water or a spinnerbait or something. I'm going to catch them in there, and so that's just my mentality I've got right now. And as well as I do, Matt, that fishing is all momentum. And, as soon as that horse bucks you off, you're done for a few tournaments and then you got to get back on. But I'm going to ride this train out as far as I can. That's for sure.
One more follow-up, Mark, and then I'll let you get back to it. So during the momentum things, do you find that like small little subtle differences in baits don't make as big as much to where you have your rod box from the previous tournament, you go to the next one and you're like, damn, that thunder cricket smoked him on the last one. I know I'm in an area around him. It'll catch him this week. And you just kind of roll with the same setup, even if it's not what you're supposed to be throwing for that fishery, but you get a confidence lineup that I'm making good decisions. I'm going to get around them. They'll eat this crap.
Exactly. I mean, literally, I don't know. I looked at my year to date and it's like $165,000 and literally all but Eufaula, which I caught him on a swim jig, and St. Clair, I caught him on a 2.5 square bill crankbait for smallmouth, which is a big crankbait in most people's opinion. But other than that, I've caught everything on a thunder cricket. And it doesn't matter whether we had grass, like where I fished at Chickamauga, I fished in the Hiawassee River. There is no grass in that river. It's all wood. And so I literally just threw thunder cricket around laydowns and boat docks, and that's how I caught them. And I think I finished somewhere in the mid-pack 14th, 15th, somewhere in there. And so I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's grass. Everybody thinks a chatterbait's just a grass bait. No, it's. I mean, I catch them everywhere on it. Because I got the confidence in it, and so I just adapt it to my style of fishing, which is 7 or 8 foot of water or less, heavy line, big rod, and literally boat flip everything that comes in contact with that thing.
It's so cool to talk to guys who are on a roll. I remember when Ott Defo won the Rookie of the Year on the Elite Series, he caught almost every fish except 2 on a plug in less than 10 foot of water. He went the entire year, won Rookie of the Year, never caught a fish deeper than 10, and almost all of them were on the same plug. And then I remember one of the years that Rojas, I think it was my 15 or 16, made a run at the Angler of the Year. He did the same thing with the chatterbait, and they went up north, and he's like, screw it, I caught him down south, and I'll catch him up north. And then they went back down south after it, and he just threw the same chatterbait. He had like 3 rods that he'd rig every single day, and he just rolled with it. Yeah, out the bag chucking it. These are guys, top level, top end, and they had so much confidence in their decision making, their ability to get around fish, that they knew that bait would get them bit, even if it wasn't what they were supposed to be throwing on this lake that they were supposed to be throwing it on.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like, I mean, a perfect example of what you just described is, Jay Yellis. That dude's a legend.
Oh, yeah.
And he comes up to me after the St. Lawrence River, and he says, "How'd you catch him, Frank?" And I said, on a vibrating jig, green pumpkin. He said, "In that clear of water?" He was like amazed. And this is a dude that's got 30 years of high-end tournament experience. And he's like, "You're kidding me." He said, I never even thought about throwing that. And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it was like 4 and 5 pound smallmouth just choking it down." And he's like, "Huh." So the next, not the next tournament, but the tournament following that at St. Clair, when he finishes in the top 10, what's the dude throwing? A dang vibrating jig, And I'm like, Jay, at Santee Cooper, I told him, "You owe me." Because I knew you wouldn't have thrown that vibrating jig up there with that gin clear water, and he ended up killing him, So
that's crazy that Yellis told you that, because I'm looking at it and I want to make sure I get my year right. But I believe the year that he won the Angler of the Year on the FLW Tour would have been 2007, and that was the year that the Bastrix paddletail minnow really kind of blew up, and he took that bait and really threw it the entire year from Beaver Lake all around the freaking country, and won the Angler of the Year basically on a single bait.
Yes,
if I remember that correctly, because he was like really kind of low key about it, trying to keep it under wraps. You'd stuff it in a jig head, he'd fish on a Texas rig, he'd fish it shallow, he'd fish it in muddy water, and then then everybody tried to get the dang bass tricks, and then the hollow belly came out and stuff. But yeah, that's cool.
Yes, sir.
I could be wrong on my year. I think it was that year. It was
what year did you say?
That sounds right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's right. Matt. All right, Frank. And I'm kind of going a roundabout way to ask this question, but there's a documentary on Netflix called Minimalism. And it's really, really cool how this group of people are like living and surviving with the minimal things to exist. And it got me thinking about fishing when I'm watching this documentary, because I have visions of what I have seen in the back of guys' trucks on tour. They're like loaded to the gills. They have container after container after container of stuff that there is not a T-bone's chance in hell that this is going to be used, but they've got it. So my question is that you, or are you a minimalist to where you take as few tackle as possible? Or are you jam-packed in the back of your truck?
Mark, I am jam-packed. I got stuff. I look like a little mini tackle warehouse, no doubt. I mean, heck, everybody, a lot of guys on tour come to me and they're like, I know Frank's got it. So they come over and I've usually got it. But honestly, I can knock the dust off the lids after a tournament because I haven't opened any of it. It's like, I use that as like Linus in the little security blanket he carries around. I use the tackle. I bring it with me. I bring 20 extra rods. I've got 25 in the boat, and I bring 20 extra ones without reels on them and 10 extra reels. Like, I'm going to break all that when I'm on the road, but you know what? It makes me feel good, and it gives me security, so to speak. So I'm like, I just continue to do it. And my wife, boy, she gets so mad at me because she's like, Frank, you get like 3 more miles to the gallon if you would just unload half this crap. And I'm like, can't, babe.
Have you ever been stuck the last 2 years with needing something that was not in the back of that truck?
Yes, actually here at the St. Clair, the time that I got on them with the 2.5 Strike King square bill, it was a chartreuse perch color. It's actually
How'd you get on that bite? Like, what made you even throw that?
Yeah.
Because what it was, Matt, is we had a bunch of, the area I was fishing in was that big bay there. I think it's called Anchor Bay.
Yeah.
And so there was a bunch of cabbage, and that would grow up in like 8 foot of water, and it'd grow up to about 4 foot from the surface. And so everybody knows that chartreuse is a good color for small 20-pound test fluorocarbon. So it only runs about 3 foot deep, right over the top of the cabbage. And that's what I started doing. And it was like, I mean, it's like they never seen it before. I mean, they'd literally knock the rod out of your hand, and you wouldn't catch no small ones. Zona asked me on the third or second day out there, he came by and he was talking to me, and he said, why are you throwing such a big bait for these smallmouth? And I said, dude, because I don't like to cull. Because when I get bit by one, I'm putting him in the boat, and he's going to weigh 4 or 5 pounds. And I would only get 7 or 8 bites a day, but they were always 4 to 5 pounders. They were all big ones.
Wow.
Chartreuse perch color. That's like a Zona color to the core.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate. And I've fallen in love with it. I mean, it's a good, because it'll fish in stained water, it'll fish in muddy water. So it's a good little color. And they do have a bunch of perch up there. That place is known for it. So I just went with that, and they ate it.
Okay, conversely, so Mark asked when you had something that you didn't have. Here's what I want to know, because this is why I carry a bunch of stuff. What is something that you have carried for the years that you never used that all of a sudden you used in one tournament, and you said, that's why I carry 150 pounds of crap in the back of my truck for a moment just like this?
Honestly, was a 6-inch robo worm that was Morning Dawn. I mean, I've carried those things because I know they eat them. I've watched a lot of guys catch them on it. It's like, man, I can never make this happen, and I'm not and it's
go-to.
Yeah. And it's like, so I've had like literally a big old, they come in 10 packs, but I put them all. I'm one of them guys that'll put it all in one bag. So I got like a big old wad of them, and I pulled them things out. I'd even straighten the tails. The salt, 92 years old, looked like old crusty, dried up syrup on them. And I put it on there, and I ended up catching them pretty dang good in practice on them at Eufaula and some of the brush piles and stuff. But the brush piles that I was fishing were only like 5, 6, 7 foot of water. They were real shallow brush piles. I know like guys like Clark and Buddy, they were catching them in a hair deeper, but not really much deeper, but just, and so I started using those, and they were eating it like candy out of there. So I'm like, well, heck, I'm glad I brought these things, so I didn't have to ask anybody. But this year I've had to borrow 2 things from guys. I've borrowed I borrowed Strike King, Blade Minnows, Green Pumpkin. After my run there, I borrowed those from Bill Lowen because he's another Strike King pro. And then I borrowed, like I said, this crank right here from Clark Winlet. He gave me a couple of them because I had broke one off from a muskie and I cracked the lip slapping eelgrass off of it. And so I was down to nothing. And he loaned me two. And actually, surprisingly, Keith Combs, he said, I didn't bring no 2.5s, Frank, to this
he
tournament.
lied to you. Keith on the water is cutthroat, Frank. Off the water, great guy to have dinner with. On the water, I'd be scared to be within a half mile of that.
Of him. Yeah. He did look for me, though. I will admit that. He did look, but he pulled out a bunch of 1.5s, and I said, no, dude, those are too small. And he just looked at me like I was speaking Chinese.
Hey, are you surprised at the feedback? And after you won, I mentioned this on BTL. We covered on location every single Elite Series tournament from 2008 till 2018. You can tell a lot about a guy based on how many guys stick around to watch him win, to congratulate him. And now I guess in this era is how many guys compliment him on social media, post a picture of him. And dude, there were so many guys with pictures of Frank the Tank and that stuck around to congratulate you. Did you realize how well liked you were by your fellow competitors on the Elite Series?
No, I really didn't. I mean, I've never had any crosswords with anybody on the Elite Series. I mean, in 2 years, but I try to be, a guy that if somebody walks up to me and asks me for something, a bait, a helping hand, whatever it is, I'm going to try to help them the best I can because we're all just kind of an extended family out there. I know that sounds kind of corny or cliche, but it is. I mean, when you're on the road, all you've got is each other. Even if you guys are fierce competitors on the water, you're still, going to be friends and help anybody out they can, so, but no, I didn't realize that I was, everybody thought of me the way they think of me. And I'm just, that's just, I mean, it humbles me because, I just never thought it would be like that, but I just try to be a gentleman and a man's man. And, one thing that I do say that I know that people can back this up that have fished against me out there is, that's one thing you won't see me at. I won't be around your area. Like if I see you, I'm going to leave. Like I came down the stretch at Chickamauga with David Mullins. He's fishing up the bank and I'm fishing down it. I seen him and I know he's, has a good shot at winning Angler of the Year, and so what I do, I just put my rod up, pulled the trolling motor and left, let him have the rest of it because, that's just the way I roll. And I'd want it done to me, but in the same sense, I don't do it for that reason. I do it because it's a mutual respect thing. And I grew up old school, like I said, 25 years, 30 years of tournament fishing, and that's what you did is you didn't come in on another guy. So I think that earns a lot of respect with my fellow peers, is you don't see me over there creeping on you.
All right, Frank, a BTL viewer that has watched BTL for quite some time is growing a little impatient, but they want to know what was the frog that you were using at Gunnersville?
Okay, so the story, the story behind that. Okay, yeah. I figured this was going to come up. But
it's a first win deal. You win the first time. You learn stuff from it.
Yeah. What it was is I had I spoke the truth. What I fished with in practice was a KVD Sexy Frog from Strike King. But I was adding, they sell a blade attachment, River to Sea does, that has a little prop on it for like a whopper plopper prop. And actually, a tail. And so what I would do is I was fishing what's called, the true name for it is pond weed, but we call it duck weed here, but it's not the little green stuff. It's the leafy stuff that looks like a willow leaf that lays on the surface. Well, a frog wouldn't, couldn't get them to come up out of it. So I would throw that. Well, in practice, they broke that off. So I ended up going to a Teakle frog. There's no doubt there, but it doesn't matter, where I got the idea is my modified bait, but all I had left was that frog. And I didn't want to speak disrespect to the Teakle brand or anything like that. But, I'm just going to, people call me out. I'm going to tell them the way it is. The weight on a Teakle frog falls out of the rear every time you catch a fish. So they're a one-shot wonder, So, I mean, that's just the bottom line. So I looked for something that was a little better and I modified this bait, but like a dum-dum, I only had one. So when they snapped that little spinner, River to Sea spinner off the back of that Sexy Frog, then I had to resort to that. So literally I had like 5 Tico frogs and I catch 1 fish on it, 2 at the most, and I'd have to chunk it in the bottom of the boat and tie another one on. But I only caught 3 of my weigh fish on that out of the 20 that I weighed in. So, the majority of the damage was done on a, green pumpkin, thunder cricket with a blade minnow green pumpkin. But yeah, I've seen some of the social media stuff on it and stuff like that. And that's fine. I want to get it cleared up because they were talking about my integrity and this and that. It didn't have anything to do with my integrity. If it was that, then I wouldn't have shown a picture of the Tico frog in the top 10 lures, So
there you have it.
For a freaking 100 grand, you got one thing, you got something else that's going to work. Every single person would use what they had if it was similar to it. Yeah. I mean, I don't care if KVD had 1 Strike King crankbait and the bill broke on it, and he had 3 other crankbaits of a different brand, and it was the Oldley crankbaits in his boat. He's throwing that different brand to win the tournament. Agreed? Well,
yeah, a prime example is the St. Lawrence.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. I mean, you don't carry a billion freaking spinning frogs in your boat. At least I don't.
No, and I haven't thrown that bait, but I seen that there was an application for it, so that's why I tried it. But like I said, real quick, not to beat a dead horse in the mouth, so to speak, but KVD with the spy bait, you didn't hear nothing about that. He was hiding that thing like a professional, every time he done hook one of them big smallies at the St. Lawrence, but you never heard nothing. But I'm just the type that I want to be transparent, and I don't like that people thought I was phony. But the deal is like I said, if I was trying to be shady about it, then I wouldn't have took a picture on Bassmaster.com with that frog.
It doesn't take long. It's amazing how the only way to unhook a fish is facing the front deck sometimes on Bassmaster Live. It's like this fish just won't. You can't be facing the motor. You got to be facing the front deck. And then that bait goes immediately into the water.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
That's
Frank, you mentioned fishing against Aaron when you were younger and everything. I'm curious, are you a tinker like Aaron? Do you really like to mess around with stuff and get into the customization of specific lures?
Not really. I mean, I'll do some modifications like I did with that sexy frog, but for the most part, Mark, I throw pretty much just what you can buy at the store. I might put a little paint and stuff on a crankbait on the underbelly or something just to kind of change a little bit of the hue to it. But no, I'm really not. Actually, to be honest with you, Aaron drives me nuts with that stuff, because it's like, dude, if you spend as much time just fishing with what you got and less time tinkering, you probably, not that he can catch them any better. The dude's, one of the top 5 in the world, no doubt. But, it's just like, I don't have the patience for that. So, I mean, if I'm modifying something, it's because I really cannot find it anywhere and I just need it in a hurry.
All right. Jason in Kentucky wants to know, over the years before fishing the opens and the elites, how much time were you spending on the water?
Anywhere in the neighborhood of like early on in my fatherhood, so to speak, when I was, younger in my 20s, I was fishing. Heck, I fished a tournament on my first year anniversary and got in a little trouble for that from my wife. But, I fished like 3-4 days a week in my 20s and early 30s. And then I slowed down quite a bit. I probably only fished 2 days, 1 or 2 days a week from then on, if you want to call that slow down. But that's 1 or 2 days a week. So about 52 to 75 times a year, is all I would do because I just try to stay sharp. I mean, I'm the type of person too that I get burnt out on these area lakes, and I'm sure you guys have in Oklahoma I hear you guys mention the same 5 or 6 handful of lakes that you got, and that's what we have here. And it just gets redundant fishing the same lakes, the same time of year against the same guys. It's like, I just get burnt out of that after 25 years of doing it, so that's another thing that the Opens really helped out with is it kind of, every lake that I fished that year was lakes that I've never seen before. And of course, with the Elite Series, most of these lakes I've never seen before. So I think that does put a real good, facet on things is you don't get burnt out or fish history because I don't have any history. So I just fish, just fish the conditions and fish, the time of year and where I think they should be. And that's what I do. But yeah, to answer your question, probably, average 75 days a year, the last 10 years. And now
no BFLs though, right? Like no BFLs, no Costas, no FLW. I mean, literally I'm trying to find stuff and it's like Craig Talley, 4 opens, Elite Series.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, actually that year, Matt, it was 5. Remember that was
with the championship.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, 5 opens and an Elite Series. And that was it. Yeah. I never fished any, I fished some local and regional stuff here, but not anything that was affiliated with FLW or Bass. It was all just, like Bass Champ stuff, that type of, Triple T, that type of stuff, but nothing bigger than that. So, and me and my brother, we fished together as team partners for 20 plus years. And so, and he's 10 years older than I am. And, it's kind of, I like to, tell people all the time, him and my dad were my mentors. If they taught me a lot, and, he was one of those guys that was just good enough, as good as me, or if not better, but he just decided to do the family thing too. And then he kind of got a little older, a little quicker than I did. So, I did it at 45, but he still fishes, but he just doesn't fish competitively.
Yeah. Are you a daylight to dark guy?
Yes. Actually, I get a lot of questions about that because I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", and I just weighed myself this morning. I'm 291. So, yeah, 300-pound guy, 6'1", 45 years old. People ask, how do you do it? And honestly, I don't eat healthy when I'm at home. I'll bust down some fried chicken like there ain't no tomorrow. I'll bust a pound of bacon, a dozen eggs out in a hurry.
Oh my gosh.
There ain't no doubt about that. But on the road, I really stay away from fried foods. I drink a lot of water on the road when I'm fishing, and so that does keep me up. I don't have anything physically wrong, like no diabetes, anything like that. I just I've been blessed with good health, and I know they say it'll catch up to you. So I kind of try to do a little bit, but I'm not no vegan or anything like that by no means. I mean, as you can tell, but the only thing I really have problems with is tendonitis in my elbows. That's the thing that really, especially this year, is, in the 4 weeks, 3 tournament swing in 4 weeks, so to speak. I mean, my elbows started, hurting. So I put the little, Brad Watley, who I room with, and me and actually Yusuke Miyazaki, we room too. And your snake story, by the way, Matt, was hilarious. I love it. I brought it up to him, and he was all embarrassed. He said, "How'd you know about that?" I said,
I'll never forget that. Snake and ball, snake and ball. He had every single person from the service crew down there. They couldn't find the dang thing. His co-angler at the time's like on the back deck in the fetal position.
Yeah, and he's like, so he's like trying to play it off. It was a big snake, Frank. I said, dude, it's probably a little old garden snake that long.
Was it that when he sold that boat too? That was at the end of the year. That boat with a 6-foot copperhead in it. It's still in there. I guarantee you, it's still in the hull of that boat somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And he's still like, when he told me about the story after I brought it up about you telling it, he was like, you could see it in his eyes. He was scared still. And this is like years later, And so,
whenever he weighed in, he has those 2 little kids. We'd call them the jumping Yuskis because they would just start hopping up and down like popcorn whenever they were on stage. We'd be like, oh, Yuski must have a good bag. The jumping Yuskis.
The jumping
in the front,
Yuskis.
just hopping up and down, so excited that their dad was on stage.
I know. Can you believe one of his, the oldest boy that you're talking about, probably, because he had 2 at the time, now he's got 3, but one is going to Japan to college, and the other one is, I believe, a junior in high school. And then he's got Meg, a little 4 or 5 year old and girl. So yeah,
he'll be back next year, won't he?
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah, that was a COVID deal. He got stuck over there at the beginning of the year after like 1 or 2 tournaments.
Yeah, he fished one at St. John's and didn't do very well. So he went over there in between tournaments when they canceled Chick and Eufaula and all that, and then got stuck over there. So, but he just came back about 2 weeks ago. So he's back and he's ready to start again next year, no doubt.
Sorry, I don't even know what we were talking about. We just went on a Yuski.
Brad loaned me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brad loaned me some armbands for tendonitis, but that's really the only major thing I've got wrong is if you want to call it major. But other than that, I feel great. I mean, I feel youthful. you know, and I think it's a lot of adrenaline and stuff like that, no doubt. But, you know, I'm just, yeah. So to answer your question, Mark, I'm sorry, long way around. Yes, daylight to dark, and actually tournament days at 8 hours are like half days. They're easy to do, you know.
All right, I'm looking at the instant feedback. Man, Clay is busting my chops. All right, anyway, Frank, what is your history on Ray Roberts? What are your thoughts about Ray Roberts?
I actually, Mark, I have no history. I've never even seen the lake, never been on it, you know. And people think too, like Lake Fork, oh, it's 2.5 hours from me because I live, you know, outside of Waco and Temple. And, you know, Fork, honestly, I probably have in 25 years of being here or so, I only have maybe 25 to 30 days on Fork. It's one of those deals that when my dad would come visit or somebody would come into town, hey, let's, you know, I want to go fish Fork because it was a bucket list lake, you know, but they never held any tournaments on it. So other than those big bass tournaments. And so I really don't have a bunch of experience on Fork. I mean, like I said, maybe a 25, 30 days on Fork and nothing on Ray Roberts. I couldn't even, if you took me there in a blindfold and opened my eyes, I wouldn't know that was Ray Roberts. So, you know, but I will be after Fork. I'm going to leave from Fork before it goes off limits at the end of December. I'm going to go and spend a couple weeks up there just looking around. I'm not going to do a whole lot of fishing because I don't want to get any preconceived notions of, you know, December fishing versus, you know, late March fishing. But, you know, I am going to go look at it and study it, make sure I know how to run it real well because I heard it's a really a lot of timber in it, kind of like Fork is.
All right, very nice. Hey, Frank Scalish Jr. wants to know, ask Frank what is the most unexpected aspect about going pro?
The business side of it, Frank. Yeah, and I appreciate Frank. I watch him when he's filling in for Matt every now and then.
Oh, this is his son. This is his son. Yeah, his son. You know, we've talked about Junior. He's kind of ate up with it. I think he wants to follow in his father's footsteps. So that's why he's asking that question.
Okay, I apologize, Junior. Yeah. But yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. To answer your question, the business side of it, you know, I'll be honest with you. The fishing side is honestly the easy side for me. It's the business side of it because, you know, and I own a couple businesses. That's not that part of it. It's just, you know, I try to tell people all the time. There's, and I'm real transparent, so I'm just going to say it the way it is. There's 4 or 5 guys in this industry that are getting 7/8 of the pie, 7/8 piece of the pie. And then you've got the other 200 guys between both tours trying to get the crumbs. And, you know, so it's tough for us, you know, there's no doubt. And, you know, having a phenomenal year when you really look at it, if you win $165,000 in a season, you take $45,000 of that out in entry fees for 9 tournaments. And you take your expenses out, all of a sudden you've made, you know, roughly $60,000, you know, in a year. Is that enough to run your household with 3 kids? You see what I'm saying? So it's really, I mean, and that's having a phenomenal year. That's winning a trophy and making every cut but one and winning $165,000. So in the big scheme of things, you know, unless you win a couple $100,000 a year, you better have some sponsorship support. And the business side is tough, Junior, no doubt. And the other thing is the driving. I'm a glorified truck driver, 45,000 miles a year. The fishing is the fun part because it seems like you're in your truck more than you're in your boat.
You ever slung an ear, Frank?
I have slung an ear, and actually, Matt, if I was on my phone versus this laptop, I'd walk you out to my boat out back, and I got 2 ears that are slung right now coming in from Chickamauga on the last day, on the 3rd day of the tournament, just make it into weigh-in. Yeah,
you just kept running, just kept it going.
I kept it running. Yeah. Like a back, because I was in the Hiawassee, like I said, it was like a 20-mile run, and I just ran it. It sounded like a pea thrasher. Zaldane passed me wide open and looked at me like I was some kind of weirdo. He's like, what the heck are you doing 30 miles an hour for with like 4 minutes left to weigh in? But I made it, but barely.
Slung 2 of them.
2 of them. And I think what I did on it was I hit a concrete. I was fishing in a flat way back in the back, and I had to get on plane. And when I got on plane, it broke over, and I was running about 60, building up speed. And when I hit something hard, I think it was a boulder or a rock pile or something in like 4 foot of water. And then, I think I knocked one off because then about halfway into the run, it started doing it really bad again. So I think, and then when I lifted it up out of the water, both of them were gone. So
you just kept going until you got back to weigh it.
Yeah, I just kept going.
Because you'd be done once you're off pad. There ain't no way you're getting it back on.
Exactly. So that's what I did. I was like, I'm either going to blow the lower unit, bend the prop shaft, or I'm going to go for it. So I just went for it.
Yeah, I shut down. Mine was not an Elite Series tournament. Mine was just a Bass Nation qualifier. I was like, I should probably shut this sucker down.
Hey, and congratulations too. I told you on when I DM'd you, you're going to do good this year. I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But yes. So anyway, we'll just throw the prop deal there. That's crazy. Two.
Jeez. Hey, I'm curious, Frank. I don't know how many anglers or even weekend guys that I've seen use K-tape. Do you know what K-tape is? The kinetic tape?
Oh, for the bowling, for the arm?
For the arm.
Yeah. Have you tried that? That's something I would recommend from a tendonitis standpoint, or just, if you're having issues with your elbow, you might try that K-tape. It's a little pricey and you can go through a roll pretty quick, but it really, really does help.
Mark, I promise you I'll have it by tomorrow if it's on Amazon or if it's local.
Is it a bowling thing?
No, it's everything. Yeah, I see guys use it in basketball a lot. A lot of football players use it.
Oh, that was like on the shoulder going underneath the jersey and stuff?
Yeah. It's called
K-tape. Big on the senior bowling tour. I bet
it is.
K-tape. You could have a K-tape stand outside the senior bowling tour and probably make a lot of money.
Hey, man, I say it all the time, man. There's applications in the fishing world that I apply to the bowling world, and the bowling world to the fishing world. But honestly, I think that would help you out a little bit with that K-tape.
Oh, definitely. If you say that's worth trying, believe me, I'll try it and I'll buy a couple of rolls of it for sure.
Yeah, believe me, I'm old, dude. I need every single edge that I can get.
Mark,
when it comes to help.
Remember that dude? He was all like swolled up, and he like sponsored a couple guys.
Yeah, I remember that.
He had that wrapped like semi-truck deal.
Yeah,
and it was like a pain patch. It was like clear with like this thing in the middle, and he would like go around and try to get people, if you had something that hurt, you put like the pain patch on, and he like sponsored the anglers for a couple years, and then he like went away. And
it was like 3 months. He was there for like 3 months.
Weird. He was like at everything,
and then gone.
With this big wrap, and then he was just gone. Like guys were like, guys just looked like just had stickers all over their body, like toothache all over the cheeks, index finger, elbow, shoulder, back. And they just put these patches on, and then the guy just disappeared.
It was weird. It was weird because he showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and dude, he was like 2% body fat, 5'10", 300 pounds.
Just jacked. I mean, jacked.
Yeah, didn't know what a sleeve was.
Really?
No.
I think he was on the vitamin S is what he was on. There was no doubt. No doubt on that.
I just remembered that. That was wild. Because all the guys were trying to angle to get the sponsorship. That's very similar to the water guy from a couple years ago. Remember that one, Mark?
Oh, yeah. Stillhouse Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
You know anything about that, Frank?
Oh, yeah. That's actually that's where I usually run my boat at and stuff. But no, I fish a lot out there. It's a great little lake. It's roughly 7,000 acres, full of hydrilla and deep hydrilla. When I say deep, grows out to 20 plus foot of water, and it's got monsters in it. When I say monsters, I'm not talking about 10 pounders. I'm talking about 12s and 13s. It's got some big fish in it, and they catch them in tournaments every year out there.
What's the fall like there? What would it be like there right now?
It's actually pretty good. They just had a tournament out there. I want to say on Sunday, a Texas Boat World, which is my title sponsor, Texas Boat World tournament. And I think it was there was several fish over 8 pounds weighed in. And there was, I want to say, and there'll probably be some guys on here to crucify me, but either 16 or 19 won it, but it was right here in that bad weather stage that blew in. So that northern blew in on Sunday, but yes, a heck of a lake.
You need any tips on that deep hydrilla, just hit me up in my DM.
Yes, sir.
I'll get you set up.
He's the expert now. He is the expert. Hey, what is your favorite lake in Texas, Frank?
Oh, by far, Falcon. You know, I mean, that's a cliche. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody says that, but honestly, a sleeper lake here is Lake Whitney. You know, a lot of people don't know about it, and a lot that do, but it's a great winter lake. December, January, it's probably the best cranking lake in the country. You can go out there and you can crank up 22 to 25 pounds every day you go out there in the wintertime when the water temperature is 48 to 50 degrees and really catch them. Whitney's a great lake. You know, but if I had, one lake to go to, it would be Falcon, no doubt.
Interesting. Matthew, you have anything else, man?
No, I think I'm good, man. We covered
Frank rocks.
We covered a lot.
Yeah, Frank rocks, man. It's been a great show, and greatly appreciate you taking time out to share some stuff with Matt and I and the fans. And I know there's a lot of Frank Talley fans out there now, man.
Well, I appreciate it. And if it wasn't for shows like y'all have that, it wouldn't showcase and let people see some of our personalities and stuff, because you think of pro fishermen or pro athletes like, you with bowling and stuff like that. It's just, you get to meet somebody on a more of a personal level. And I just try to be myself. That's what I am, is I'm just a big old clown, so to speak, that just loves the bass fish and loves my family. And so, it lets us showcase ourselves. And if it wasn't for, like I said, for guys like you with your podcast, and you and Matt do a wonderful job, and I've been a long time listener and every day praying that you would contact me to be on here. So I got my first one. Maybe I get me another one, and I'll be able to come back on.
Hey, man, we'll get you back on even if you don't win another blue trophy. You rock. It's been a great interview, and, man, wish you nothing but the best going into Fork.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank y'all. And, stay safe up there. I'm praying for you guys in Oklahoma, because I know you guys are having some real bad weather. So
Mark's about to show us. Trust me.
He's
been waiting all damn show. He's got his cell phone ready. He's going to walk outside. He's going to be like, look at my roof.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Look at my flower beds.
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Hey, Frank, let me know if the K-tape works. But
yes,
check
sir.
it out, man.
I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, gentlemen.
All right, man. Take care, Frank.
All right, buddies.
Bye. All right. Cool stuff, Matthew.
Was that his kid at the end there?
Yeah.
That was a hell of a mullet, dude. That was like Billy Ray Cyrus mid-90s stuff. That was impressive. I wish we hadn't ended the call.
Oh.
That was some mad flow.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, so you're going to take us outside.
So I don't know if this is going to work.
Wait,
all right, we kind of tested it.
Let me turn this into a sponsor plug, Mark, because it's just
For what?
Okay.
For what?
You know the Reaper, right?
Yeah.
And no one told me to do this, but I want to do this because I'm jacked about this. So the Reaper, it's got the turtleneck thing that you pull up over your neck. If you if you try to wear it in the car on your way to the lake, it gets too hot and everything.
Yeah.
It's like the jammer Wesley Strader posts about it 10 times a week.
Yeah.
So they have the Reaper jacket that is now in stock. And I literally found out about this through an AFCO email yesterday. So it's $100, which is, you'll wear it one time and it'll be worth it. It has all of the elements of the Reaper with an outer shell on it. You can pull it up. It's got pockets. It's badass.
Okay.
And it's actually in stock in oak, charcoal, and black. So
on the AFCO website.
Yes, AFCO.com. It's the first thing that pops up. If you are fishing in the fall or the winter, or you like to go outside when it is nasty, or do horses or farm stuff or anything, or clean up ice damage like you're about to show us. I swear, this is the best thing you can buy for $100 right here. It's called the Reaper Windproof 3L jacket. I'm going to order 2 as soon as the show's over because they're still in stock.
All right, I'm going to walk outside
in
shorts and a hoodie.
Yeah, it's like a beefed up Reaper that you can actually, you don't have to wear a jacket on top of it. It is the jacket.
All right, I have no idea if this is going to work. If it works,
why
great.
wouldn't it work? Will you be able to talk, or do I have?
Yeah. No. You're going to have to talk just for a minute.
Wait, are you going to have audio when you go outside?
Do what?
You're going to have audio when you go outside?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to have to.
No, so here's what I have to do. I'm going to turn my mic down, and then I will be back on my headset that I can go outside.
So I'm just going to hang out here for like 10 seconds.
Oh, you can talk. I mean, talk about, I don't know.
I already got the sponsor plug in. We should have planned that to where while you were walking out.
Yeah, that was not good.
What was not good?
The progress of trying to get this coordinated. All right, here, let me try this. So I'm gonna turn my mic down, and then I'm gonna see if I can get this going outside. All right, hang on.
This worked before. And he does have a tree that's on top of his roof. We could have totally planned this better, though. All right, here we go. We should have him in very shortly. He's clicking some buttons if you're listening on iTunes. Clicking multiple buttons. BTL outside. Oh, we have the video now. Oh, I hear you.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me? All right, here. I'm going to walk outside.
You're walking outside. Oh, show everyone your bowling drill press.
There's the drill
there we
press
go. Let's
right
kill
there.
2 birds with 1 stone right here. Show them your bowling corner, Mark.
Oh, yeah. That's the drilling corner with the Larry Bird
Walk
jersey
over
in
there.
The
Show them some of that stuff. This is interesting.
What?
Yeah, show them some of the stuff that you're doing.
Nah.
Yeah, show them all your balls. Show them your balls on BTL, Mark.
Now it's a plethora of bowling balls. All right, let's go.
No, show them the drill press. What you've been working on. Though.
What? Oh, the drill press?
Yeah, where you take. Yeah,
that's the.
You have
mill.
the balls without the holes in them at all, and then put a ball in there and lock it in. This is This is seriously interesting stuff. Lock a ball in your drill.
I may do that when we get back inside. All right, let's go outside.
Excited for the weather.
Okay, it's not raining. All right, so outside the studio. So you hear, it's raining, man. All right, so there's.
Good Lord.
All right, so there's one tree. And I was fortunate that it didn't hit the roof there. It's raining a little bit now. But that's one. My big trees in the backyard there, they're totally destroyed. I mean, look at this here. I mean, if you have a chainsaw in Oklahoma, you're going to be making some money.
Brush piles.
Yeah. It's just, and then you can see the other tree. I mean, look at that. Just split up. All right. Now, my roof is, and I went up there and I didn't have a hole in the roof. That thing collapsed last night about midnight.
Which one? Not the white one, the one that's.
Yeah, that one, there's 3 trees right there.
Oh, and one's leaning against the roof.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess.
And one of them's still hanging strong.
Yeah, so let me walk around here to the other side.
How's that pellet grill treating you? You like it?
Oh, that right there, dude, that is like the deal. All right. Yeah. So this madness right here, the only main tree that I have at the house. Look at that madness right there. That is just a mess. I don't know how much that's going to cost me to get that thing fixed, removed, whatever. And then the only tree in the front there is totally destroyed. So yeah, it's pretty bad. You know, basketball goal there. Those trees, bad. The only trees that didn't come apart, imagine this, are pine trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have pine trees in Oklahoma.
There's our conifers, I believe.
All right, let's see here. Back to the studio.
I wasn't lying about the hammock, folks. He literally has a hammock. Have you ever laid down in that hammock and just had like a?
No, I don't think I can get back up. But
that Carolyn, does she go out?
Yeah,
lay in the hammock.
We have a creek at the back of our acre there, and it's just completely lined by trees, and there's only one tree that's left that is not destroyed.
God, you missed your call in the Weather Channel.
It's pretty bad, dude. I'm like Jim Cantori.
Is he still around?
Yeah. So
all right.
That's it.
Now show him how you drill your balls. Because it's super technical. You have putty. Look at that. You have putty and all sorts of stuff. You have like vices. You have measuring devices.
Yeah.
You have, what are they called? Halos.
Actually, a buddy of mine took the armadillo, the little plastic thing that was called the armadillo. It's gone.
Drills.
But this ball right here, has just been laid out. I'm getting ready to drill that actually this afternoon.
And then the drill press is specifically designed to where it locks in place at the right angle.
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy. It's literally like when I watch him work on that, it's like people who don't fish, who like watch someone get ready for a tournament and they ask stupid questions like, why do you need that many rods? And why don't you just use a worm?
Yeah, that's why. That's some of the stuff there.
Good deal.
Anyway, all right, let's see if I can disconnect this and get back in there. Let's see here. Okay, so all right, you got me back?
Yeah, that was very smooth.
All right. That's
smooth.
it. That's kind of what it looks like here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And honestly, Matt, there are neighborhoods, like 2 neighborhoods up from mine.
Some guys who fish there, it's gone. Every tree.
Yeah.
No power, everything.
Yeah. Last night at midnight, there were 360,000 people that did not have power.
And it was 30 degrees out. Yeah, that's not a good scenario.
No. So definitely there are a lot of people out there that still do not have power. Schools canceled today once again for us, but just bad timing because there were so many leaves, as you guys saw, still on the trees, and the trees can't support all the ice that forms on the trees. So bad deal. Think about power lines. That's what's happening with the power lines right now, is you got an inch of ice on those power lines, and they can't be supported because it just weighs too much, and then they end up snapping. And
excellent.
Bad deal, man. Bad deal. All right. Great stuff today. I want to thank Brandon and Frank for taking time out to be on the show. Tomorrow, Wednesday. Wow. I didn't even write down. Who do we have tomorrow? I totally forgot, man. I was like focused on the weather. Huh? What do we have tomorrow?
I'm looking it up. Today is Wednesday, dude.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is Wednesday. Good grief, Lord. Man. I'm losing it. Frank Cantori has lost it.
Isn't it Jim?
Do what?
You said Frank Cantori.
Cantori.
Isn't it Jim Cantori?
Oh, yeah, it is Jim. Sorry.
Wow, Mark.
It is Jim Cantori. Yeah. So man, you give me all kinds of grief, but I love the weather.
Who knows when I'll be in studio next? It just depends. I might get a wild hair and go up to Louisville, so we might have to do it on the
No,
go. Here's
Monday,
my problem. So I've got Louisville coming up, the last open, right? Do I treat it like I have the other 3 opens? Do I go spend more time there? Because it's only 4.5 hours away. What I'm struggling with how to approach it, because it will be the biggest tournament that I've ever fished in my life.
Yeah.
I have the Elite Series on the line for it, open points, the whole 9 yards. But I don't want to over practice because I know that's bad. I don't want to under practice. I don't want to go in and say, I wish I'd had more time when I could have had more time. But I don't want to say, I wish I hadn't freaking ran all over the lake.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Can you take what you've done well over the past 2 weeks?
I'm doing the same thing. Spoken Hub.
Yeah.
BMR squared, Spoken Hub, stayed in an area, figure it out a pattern, roll it with it. I love the fall fishing. The fall fishing's my jam.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I've been to Louisville before, not super familiar with it, but I've been there enough to know that it ain't just show up and catch 20 pounds.
Yeah, remember though, man, the best tournament that you've had this year so far, you only had a day and a half of practice.
Yeah.
A day and a half. And you did a great job figuring something out.
We'll see. As long as you practice correctly.
Yes.
I feel like it's like going to the gym. Like you can go into the gym, you can spend 5 hours in the gym a day, right? But if you're not lifting, or you're not lifting properly, or you're not doing it correctly, you ain't gonna see any gains. You're going to get outgained, and it's going to be more effective for the guy that comes in for an hour 3 times a week than the guy who spends 5 hours a day in there.
Yeah.
because the guy who comes in focused with the game plan knows how to see results is going to be more efficient than you. It's the same thing on the water like that.
Yeah,
time on the water doesn't matter. Everyone talks about time on the water. Frank talked about time on the water. Brandon talked about time on the water. Time on the water doesn't matter if you're not using that time productively.
No, that's a good statement. Agree 100%. Is time on the water more important a week before the tournament or 6 months?
Here's the thing.
Prior to whatever you're doing.
In the fall, this time of year, I think time on the water can be very beneficial because when it jumps into your head, oh, I'm going to go run and fish this, you know where it is. Yeah. As long as you don't get spun out and try to fish it all, I think familiarity helps in the fall when you're quote unquote junk fishing. Because I would have liked to have had more stuff to run at Neely Henry. Maybe, I have another day and a half of practice and I still stay within that, but I add a couple more seawalls or I add a couple more culverts or something like that to where I just didn't know where it was in the tournament. So, I think I might go up there and familiarize myself for a couple days.
Yeah. Very, very cool,
go
man.
Back and do the 2 or 3 day thing. Good
All
week.
Right. Yeah, what I do know is you will be here Monday because Monday we will have Boyd Duckett on. I still do not have Michael Malone confirmed for that show. Hopefully that will take place on Monday also, and we will get into all kinds of stuff with Boyd on Monday. It's been a long time since he's been on the show, and I know a lot of fans out there have questions. If you want to send me questions, folks, that you would like for me to ask Boyd. I'm not saying I'm going to ask 1, 10 of them, 100 of them, whatever it is, but I'm at least going to give you the opportunity to send them to me if there's one specific question. And I get it. I know people are unhappy with certain things and this and that and the other. Look, I'm just talking legit questions, not offensive questions. If you have really, really good questions, please send them to me, and we'll see if we can get those questions answered if for some reason that you're not going to be able to be a part of the live show on Monday. So that's the plan. And then we have Sam on Tuesday.
Sobey, social media guru, worked with the biggest and best of the industry, the Guga Squad. Scott Martin, huge social media following, and he's going to kind of come in and on the show and break down some really, there's the real cool culture kind of behind the scenes of these guys who you log on to YouTube and watch all this stuff. These are the guys that are actually making it happen. I'd be interested to talk about how he kind of sees where it fits into the professional tournament fishing scene. He fishes the opens as a co-angler, tournament fisherman, very enthusiastic young guy who's made a career out of it working with the biggest fishing YouTube names in the industry.
All right. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to try and get Hallman in studio. It's been a while.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should be. Next week, we can talk about his adventures over the past couple of months.
I'm calling it. He's catching them. He's catching them at Cherokee. I'm calling it. He's going to catch them.
All right.
He'll be in the mix at Cherokee.
All right. Hope so, man. He needs to. All right, folks. Once again, please, if you do not subscribe to our channel on YouTube, please do that. We're almost at 8,000, and we've been doing this just not even a year yet. I think maybe a little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year. Should have been about 9 years.
Yeah, I know. I was on a late freight on that one. And then if you're listening to us on the podcast, on iTunes, please make sure you leave us a review, give us a rating. It helps us out immensely. Matthew, be safe, man, and we'll see you on Monday.
Sounds good. See you, Mark.
All right, everybody, be safe. That's it. We're out of here.